Welcome back to the Beyond the Bestseller podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Schuknecht, and today's guest is Amy Dickens, author of 101 Ways to Spread Joy. Amy, I love the title of the book. I'm excited to hear more about this. So, welcome, and let's start out by having you tell us about 101 Ways to Spread Joy and why you wrote this book.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and to chat with you and to chat about this sweet little book that was inspired by a pretty dark chapter in my life. For quite a few years now, have felt really connected to my mission of spreading joy and, you know, human life be humaning sometimes. Sometimes life gets lifey. And about 2 years ago, I had one of those patches where I was going through a breakup, lost a bunch of friends, had like a career shift kind of thing. One of those moments where all of the things, all the health things, everything happens at once. And you just have that like on your knees moment of like, oh my God, can I do this? And I looked in the
Right.
mirror one day and I said, Amy, you have all the tools. You're like a certified life coach, you're a yoga teacher, you've like all of the like things, but you got and like you're doing it, but like it's not helping. So something's got to change. And at that moment, I gave myself a 30-day challenge. And at first, the 30-day challenge was to do something first thing in the morning to spark joy in myself. I was like, I don't know, I just feel blah, mundane, just like it's hard to get out of bed. Like, just try something different. And about 3 or 4 days into that, I had written on little pieces of like cardstock the messages that I needed to hear. And I went around town. I hid them in the library. I hid them at the grocery store. And then I hid one under a bunch of windshield wipers, just like kind of sticking them in there. And I sat in my car and I saw this old woman come up to her car. And I saw her like kind of like, she's like really hunched over. It's really cold out. It was Chicago. She was like not in a good mood. And I saw her see this and I saw her whole being just light up and a huge smile on her face. And that like stuck with me. It just sparked me up. And before I knew it, I was like, I want to do more of this. So I changed my challenge to how can I spread joy in other people? Like, yes, do the things that light me up, but how can I kind of create that ripple of impact? And before I knew it, like by the end of 30 days, I was like, had moved like to a different state, like was like making friends again, was feeling re-inspired and my health was feeling better. And it was just like that like kickstart of joy in my fuel tank that I needed to kind of get me through that really sticky transition point that I was in. Cause it's not fun to move through those points. Like they come and there's no like stopping the transition points. But yeah, all that happened. And then like a year and a half later, I was like, wait a second, if that helped me, that could probably help somebody else. I should write a book about it, and wrote a book about it.
Wow. Wow. What a great story. I feel like, when you mentioned those those not moments, it's like way longer than moments, but like when everything is hitting at once. Like
Yeah.
I have totally been there and yeah, it's like I always think of those moments as like, okay, I'm being tested and um like these things that is just like feels like it's just compounding. And I'm like, and I have to remind myself, I know this is going to end. I know that this is just temporary. Like, it feels like too much for one person to handle, but it will get better. I'll get through it, whatever. But anyway, when you were talking about that, I'm like, oh, I just like remember like those moments of just like, okay, you just gotta like keep being positive through it. But one of the
Yeah.
things that I feel like life is teaching me recently is um the power of positivity and how like what we are putting out there is what we are getting back or like what we are
Yeah.
attracting and the a- it's not forcing yourself but like reminding yourself to have a positive attitude. I know like gratitude is a good practice because it like gets us into like a positive mindset rather than a negative one. We're thinking about the things that we're grateful for, whatever. Anyways, all of those things, like all of that's swirling around in my head as you're talking. I love just how your message also kind of like goes along with a lot of that and just remembering to be positive. And I love how you're taking it and not just it's not just about like your own like what you need and giving it to yourself or like resetting your own mind, but it's also like spreading it to other people because we know we need so much more of that
Oh,
in
we
our
really
lives these
do.
days.
We really do. And I always want to like give the little caveat of like this isn't all like toxic positivity. To me, everything that I do with joy is
Right.
very deeply immersed in the world of like, yeah, feel your feelings, have the full range of the human experience, and have the discernment to know when you're spiraling like unnecessarily in an old story or whatever it might be. And when it's time to like shift into, okay, I got to choose a new way and it might not feel comfortable in this moment because I'm not used to choosing joy. I'm not like, we're not programmed, like literally, like biologically, we're programmed like negativity bias. Like we know this. So it's not easy like to unprogram that and be like, all right, we're learning a new habit. Everything in the world on our phones, like everything around us is kind of counterintuitive to that a lot of times. So it's not
Mhm.
an easy habit and it's not a comfortable thing to do. And it's certainly, not just like, I don't even have to try to this, but it is so rewarding because when, especially when like in giving you receive, it's cliche, but it's so true. And in the sense that, wow, like we are communal creatures. And I truly do believe that, yeah, we can create our own joy in ourselves, but we are co-creating the world around us, even our little micro pockets of community. If like how we are showing up is changing the people around us. I think we've all been around that person that you're like, wow, they walked in the room and it changed the energy of the room for better and worse. The person that walks in and they're angry
Yeah.
and everybody kind of is like walks on eggshells a little bit, like their breath tightens. You're like, oh my God, like this is a little intense. Or the person that's so just open and sweet. And you're like, wow, I just feel like a better version of me just standing next to you for some reason. And we can choose to learn how to become that version of ourselves. And it's different for each of us. There's not like a one size fits all. This is what it looks like to be joyful. It's just a exploration process to
Yeah.
become that version of ourselves.
Okay, so you're making me think though, like if you are that negative energy in the room, if you are
Mhm.
that person who's angry or whatever's going
Yeah.
on, you're just not in a good place, right? Like how do you like you can't just turn it off, right? Like so how do you get yourself from that place to being the more joyful and maybe it's not a like, you can't just switch from one to the other, but, like, how do you get out of that? Because I think that there are so many people that just, like, are just negative and, like,
Yeah.
it's just they're always gonna walk in the room and be mad at something, negative about something, complaining about something, right? Like, how do you I mean, obviously, you have to, like, want to not be that way if
Right.
you wanna change it, but if you're recognizing that in yourself, like, how do you get out of that?
Yeah, absolutely. I was gonna say the first step is definitely like awareness. Like somebody that doesn't want to change, like no, I don't think anything's gonna change them until they get to that like breaking point of, oh, okay, something's gotta shift here. And just for a little personal backstory, I used to have horrible social anxiety. It was like a very anxious and depressed person up until I don't know, maybe like 5, 6 years ago. I really struggled to talk to humans at all. And this work really was a huge part of unraveling that in myself. And it was an uncomfortable process. It's not like it was just like, I woke up one day and I was suddenly like sunshine and rainbows. And it was like a 3-step process. It was continuously being like, okay, like I'm showing up scared and I'm feeling the fear and doing it anyways. But I was learning for myself that like our joy in putting yourself in a space of like, if you're playing and you're laughing or you're moving your body in some kind of way, that is changing your physiology. It's regulating your nervous system and it kind of allows you to almost like hack yourself from underneath all of the fears and the things that you're able to show up in a different way. Because our physiology is sending signals to our brain before any of like affirmations or all those things, which I also use. Those are great, like positive thought thinking, all of this. It's great, but it's almost like the frosting on the cake. So like by the time like the cake's out of the oven, you're just putting frosting on it. And you're like, yeah, I can be confident. But if you get the cake itself, that's like your physiology. And when you're moving your body in a certain way, it's sending all different kinds of biochemistry into your brain to say, either like I'm happy, I'm sad, like more dopamine, like let's like put a bunch of cortisol in. There's all these kind of things happening under the scene. And I didn't really realize this at the time, but I had just like accidentally been showing up into spaces and strategically, I guess, in hindsight, doing things that were playful or like where people were moving their bodies. And suddenly it was much easier for me to show up as a new version of myself. And
Mm,
now I can go into other spaces because it's almost like those were like training wheel spaces of, oh, okay, like I can like laugh with you. I can dance with you. I can like, and that's regulating me. And now I know how to show up in this space in like a networking place where everybody is, like in their suits and like I can kind of bring those tools into that space to show up as myself in these spaces,
Yeah.
and many other places. And I'm not perfect at it by any means. I definitely have moments where I'm like, wow, huh, I'm still feeling quite nervous or negative in this moment.
Yeah, yeah, it's something you have to work on, like, all the
Oh, yeah,
time, and yeah.
life process.
Um, Tell me about the format of the book, 101 Ways to Spread Joy. So is it a, like, literally, like, a list of 101 things in the book, or how did you format it for the reader?
Yeah, absolutely. I wrote it with the intention of it being like a pretty easy read. And
It's
it's like
all
if you're
colored
looking at it, it's all rainbow. It's got like
That's
lots of different
pretty.
sections. And I wanted it to be something that was easy to read, like on the toilet, like, or before bed. And like these little, cause I know a lot of people that like, I have the intention to read. I have all the best intentions, but do I actually like sit down and read big chunks? Most people that I know don't do that. And I was like, I want this to be accessible. So it kind of breaks it down into like there's a part that has like my story in it, like what's the deal with it, like why am I writing this, and then it goes into the science of why are you talking so much about joy and play? What is going on behind this? And then I also have a little section that breaks down if you want to make it into a book club or like a joy club kind of thing, like read this book with a group of people that you're like, I want to like read this book and spread joy together. And once a week, we can talk about the ways that we spread joy in the life and kind of hold each other accountable. Because accountability is like, I think you're 70 something percent more likely to do the thing that you said if you have any kind of sense of that. And then, of course, there is the list of 101 things, but it's yeah, pretty like simple, straightforward, like easy to read, lots of pictures, fun colors, and like packed with juicy tips and details of all the
Yeah.
joyful things that I've learned.
Well, for anyone who is listening and not seeing, this on the screen,
Yeah.
Amy showed her book, and it's like a, um I don't wanna say a children's book, but, like, color it's all color on the inside, like, so it's got, like, all of the, like, every page is full color, like, I wasn't picturing that at all, I was thinking, like, black and white regular book, but, I love that, I love the design, it's beautiful.
Oh, thank
Tell
you.
me about so I'm just curious because it's very unique in that, tell me about how you approached the design process for that book. Did you have a design did you know a designer who helped you with that? Because that had to be take a lot of time and work to put that together.
Yeah, honestly, because I will say this is the 4th or 5th book that I've started writing, and it's the first one that I've finished. Like, there's been many in the past 10 years, things that I have, like, sat down for, like, years and been, like, clickety-clacking, and it just never turned into, like, a finished product, and maybe some I might come back to, most I probably won't. And something felt different about this book. Something was just like, I need to create this book, and I had so much fun with it, like, the design like, I'm not much of a designer, but I had, like my roommate is, and, like, I had her give me some tips, and I sat with the thing, and I'd be, like, up until, like, 2 AM just because it was so fun, and I was just, like, having all this fun in Canva, just playing around with, like, "Okay, what does it look like to, like, make this look good?" And, create the whole thing, and I published it through Amazon, and then there was, like, definitely a lot of, like, playing with the margins and, like, "Okay, this is,
Yeah,
like, a
yeah,
whole
yeah.
new learning curve here of, like, I thought that was done, and now I have to, like, restructure and reformat everything so it
Yep.
doesn't all get cut off." That was, like, my pulling out my hair moment of, like, "Oh my god, I'm done with these margins."
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, it was way like, Canva was the main thing that I was using, Canva Pro, and it was so user friendly. Like, I was like, "Wow, this" I like, first time I've published a book, first time I've, like, done any of, like, a full project like this, and it was so like, start to finish, I feel like it was really user friendly. Like, I like, to anyone who has an idea, I'm like, "Do it." Like, create the thing. Like, it's so doable. And,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
also, there's so many YouTube videos if you, like, run into, like, a problem, you're like, "Oh, like, I can figure this out." Or even, like, ChatGPT can, like, answer a lot of questions as well, and you're like, "How do I do this thing that I'm stuck on?" And that's
yeah,
been honestly really great to have that kind of tech support because 'cause I'm not the most techie person of all time.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
writing?
Well,
Sure.
you must have some design skills because I love Canva, my team uses Canva for everything, and it's fantastic, but there's a big difference between when I design something in Canva as a very non-visual designer person versus when one of my team members does because, they just make things look so much better, and So you clearly have some, natural design skills, but you're right. I
Very
mean,
cool.
I was telling the story not related to, like, book stuff, but, I used ChatGPT recently. It was actually in my author community. We were talking about author websites and domains and, if you buy a domain and then you use it
Yeah.
somewhere, like, just whatever. There's sometimes some technical things that come up. And the last time I had a website problem, I went to ChatGPT and I was like, "Okay, like, this is the message I'm getting. This is not working. Here's what it looks like, blah blah blah." And it, like, walked me through step by step what to do here and what to do there, and oh, 10 minutes later it was fixed. I was like, "This is amazing."
I know.
So
That's feel like the biggest life hack I've discovered this, like, past year is
yeah.
like, "Oh, ChatGPT can just walk me through all of it can be my technical support. Great."
Yes, yes. That's amazing. I think it's really, really cool that you were able to put that together in Canva. Um, and then you mentioned publishing it through Amazon and some of the
Yeah.
the issues that you had because you were very much DIYing this project. Like,
Oh, yeah.
um, there are people out there who, design books, and you were doing this yourself. So you were having to figure out the specs and how to, what files you needed and all of that. But that's amazing. Tell me about your experience with publishing through Amazon. I'm just curious because I have different authors take different approaches, and I'm curious about what you thought about that process.
Yeah, absolutely. It was I mean, I just there was something in me that I was like, "I just wanna do this now. I don't wanna wait to, like, find a publisher," and my ex
I'm
was an
so the
author,
same
and he
way.
was,
Yeah,
like, constantly trying to, like, find publishers and agents, and I was like, I don't wanna do it. I just wanna, like, get it out there in the world and, like, see what happens with it." And a friend of mine had also published, self-published a workbook kinda thing, so she was able to kinda walk me through a little bit, but even without that, it was really user friendly, even with all of the margins and it's okay, well, all of this stuff's out. Okay, you got to re-edit it and like kind of reformat it. Even with all that and like the pulling out my hair with that, it was super doable. Like super loved the experience of it. Like would I recommend it very highly because it just feels like such an incredible opportunity to be like, wow, okay, you can just publish a book and have it out there and share it with the world. And you don't have to kind of like wait for permission or like go through all these other hoops that exist to do it in other ways. Which, if you want to go through the hoops, that's also great. But if you want to
yeah.
do it another way, I think it's great.
I am so aligned with you on that. Like, that's just what I always tell people. Like, you could just do it. I used to work in publishing, so I know that I know the ins and outs of that, and I'm like, it's just really easy to just upload. I mean, I say easy. Sometimes you run into problems and you have to chat GPT things, but relatively easy to just do it yourself on Amazon, and then you get all of the royalties, and it's even if you publish through a traditional publisher, often you still are kind of on the line to do the marketing. Like, they're not just selling your book
Yeah.
for you. You still have to go out and do the marketing. So, I encourage people to just go to Amazon, but some people are just really set on they really want to get a traditional
Yeah.
publisher, or they're not DIYers like you and I are, and they are like, "But I need somebody to design it, or I need somebody to create, the cover or whatever." And if that's the case, like, that's totally fine, go that route, but, I just am like, "Don't overthink it, though." Just, get it out there into the world. I love that. That's so how I am. Like, just get it out
Absolutely.
there.
I'm like, imperfect is better than like never done kind of thing as a recovering perfectionist. I'm like, sometimes you just gotta like get it out there and just say, okay, like I did the thing and I finished it. I did the last 5% rather than saying like, oh, I'll just tinker it this way or I want it to be this way. And it's really it's incredible. And also you don't have to pay anything up front with Amazon either. Like it's not like you have to like hand over this lump sum of money. It's just like you can order as many copies as you want and pay for author copies or other people can order it through the site.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, now that you said that, I was curious about your pricing for your book because with full color, that can be more expensive to print, but your book is only $16 on Amazon.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't really know how Amazon handles with, like whatever their cost situation was, but I was like, okay, yeah, like this seems like a doable price. I mean, it's not like the biggest book in the world, so I definitely like if it was black and white, I'd definitely probably have it be a little cheaper, but I'm like $16 for a full color book. I'm like, okay, I think we can like actually like make that be a reasonable request of people.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's That's a very good price for that, and I know because publishing black and white is a lot cheaper, like, print so Amazon has, like, a base price for the book, right? And that's, like, the what it costs to print it, and then, color is just it just costs a lot more, so
Right.
pricing usually is higher for color books, but yours is very reasonably priced. Um, you mentioned being a life coach, and
Mhm.
you have a business where joy is in the title of your business as well, I think I saw, right?
Yes,
So
Joyful You is my business.
joyful you. Okay. So tell me about how you use this book with your business. Do you use it within your business?
Yeah, I have transitioned my business recently from coaching to more public speaking, more emceeing, kind of doing more events work rather than like one-on-one work. So I don't really use it so much in like one-on-one kind of work as much as I used to do, but
Yeah.
I do feel like it kind of is infused in all that I do because I also lead joy parades downtown twice a month. I live in Asheville, North Carolina, and basically the whole thing is we're getting people dancing and singing through the streets. We got a giant boom box. I'm there with a microphone, just kind of guiding people through like very silly, like fun, connective things to spread joy and spark joy in random strangers and see like how many people's days can we make today? Like how can many people can we make smile and leave them with a story to go back to work with on Monday that leaves them kind of feeling, oh, there's like hope in the world. Like, not everything's like a dumpster can on fire right now. So there's definitely, I mean, like that is like one of the ways to spread joy is like embodying that. And we talk a lot about that in the events that I do is kind of empowering other people. We call each other ourselves joy spreaders. So, kind of being like, oh, like it's not just me. Like you too can be the joy spreader to spread things in the world. But yeah, it's kind of been shifted from one-on-one to more so like events work of like I'm sharing this with people in a more microphony kind of way.
Yeah, yeah, love that. Um, so you mentioned at the beginning the little notes that you put together and hid in different places. What are some of the other 101 ways? Like, what are some of the things that you give us? Like, I don't know, two or three kind of ways to spread joy that come from the book.
Yeah, one of my favorites that I use probably the most regularly is if I think a compliment or like an appreciation of someone, whether they're with me or not, I do my best to send them a message, whether it's like I text it to them or my favorite lately has been like sending a voice note to them because there's something about hearing someone's voice, like just giving you, and it takes 10, 15, 20, like a minute max to just send that. And the number of times with that one when I'm thinking of someone and they're like, wow, I was having like a really hard moment. Like I was in like not having my great
Mm.
day. And then I got that. And there's just kind of this like, wow, I wasn't thinking that at all. I was just thinking like, wow, you're just a really incredible, inspiring person. And why would I keep that to myself? Like, why would I not share that with you? That one is really, I think also it shifts me as well. I'm like, of course, it's a beautiful thing to give, but it also, I'm like, wow, I just feel so much better. It's like an active gratitude practice where, you have my lists, but you can share it with other people. Um, Other ways to spread joy have been so fun. I love leaving like little like trinket kind of things around town with like a little note or something and just like I watch like the neighborhood kids or just like random people just be like, "Oh my god, like look at this little crystal." And it has like, whatever words that I put on it and it's just like simple little things. And then there's also, bigger things in there like, I don't know if you've heard of kind of the whole rejection therapy craze going on right now where people are
No.
kind of, bravely allowing themselves to do something knowing that they might get rejected, like, oh, like, I'll, like, put, like draw my a unibrow on my face or something and, like, order my coffee and see that, oh, no one's gonna say anything, and, like, a lot of times, like, our fears are just imagined and no one's really thinking about us for more than, like, point 0.5 seconds that we meet in the world, and I realized after writing this, I'm like, "Oh, I think some of the things in this book are a little bit in the lines of that, of they might seem a little edgy at first of like, "Oh, you want me to do like this like kind of thing?" Like and only if you want to, but there's moments sometimes where I'm like, "Oh, like when I hosted my first joy parade, I had a freaking boom box behind me and a microphone and my knees were like shaking. And it was the most exhilarating experience on the other side of it of wow, like how many smiles did we spread? Like I feel so filled. I feel so like I was able to walk past that fear through it with it into who I really came here to be. So I think some of the things in here may be a little like, whoa, Amy, that's a little like wild. But all of those things, they're just so much
But pushes
reward
you
on the other side
outside
of
of
it.
your comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
The first one you mentioned, one of the things I keep it's in my head and I have not done it, but one of the things I kinda wanna do this year is make a list of the women in my life who I want to reach out to regularly. Like, I just am not good at that, right? Like, and it could just be a text message once in a while, like, just asking them a question or like, oh, I saw this on Instagram, and like following up. I'm a big social media person. So, like, I feel like everyone knows what I'm doing every day, all the time, right? But like, I don't, a lot of my friends are not. They're not on,
Yeah,
they don't share a lot on social media. So, I have friends from, like, high school that are in different parts of the country who I, like, once in a while talk to, but I was like, "Gosh, if I just more often than once in a while, made it a regular," and I say once in a while, like, every couple of years, we might text each other, and said,
yeah,
like, could I text them monthly and, "Hey, I was just thinking about you, blah, blah, blah. I was remembering this story," like, I don't know, like, that was one of the things I have been thinking about, and then when you talked about, like, a way of spreading joy around that, like, just texting people, like, something positive you remember about them or think about them or whatever. That's a good way to think about it. So maybe I'll do that, Amy. That might
yeah,
get me
absolutely.
going.
And like our relationships really is the number one predictor of like happiness in life is like the quality of the relationship. So doing anything to kind of like nourish that in this kind of isolated world we've created is so highly recommended.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love that. Well, so we will link to the book in the show notes. And how else can listeners or viewers learn more about you or connect with you online, Amy?
Yeah, absolutely. You can get the first 10 pages of my book for free actually on my website, livejoyfullyu.com. And then, get your little teaser in. And then if you're like, oh, I want more, you can go to Amazon and buy the full thing. Or, of course, go to me on social media at the Amy Dickens on all your social platforms. You can find me getting little joyful bursts into your day, a little inspiration, little reminders, and little moments to laugh at yourself or myself, me, I guess, actually.
Love it. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing your book. Oh, I forgot one question I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
I feel like you answered this though, but I'm going to ask you anyway. So, um, Beyond the Bestseller. So my podcast is called Beyond the Bestseller because I
Mhm.
feel that people publish their books or write and publish their books for more than just becoming a bestseller. What for you was the Beyond the Bestseller? What was the why behind getting this book out?
It's really funny. I had opened my journals like at the end of last year to, kind of like reflect on the year. And I pulled to the page right before I had like published this book. And I found like a really sweet journal entry I'd written. And it was like, if I can help one person, this book will have been worth it. Like there was just this like, there is the something within me. I was like, This isn't about having a book that's like a bestseller and I don't know, having all these like metrics of like, yes, I've sold this many books. And of course, if it wants to do that, that's amazing, having larger impact and reach. But there was this sense of who am I to keep this thing that I want to create that feels exciting and fun to create to myself? Because a little part of me is like doubt and fear and imperfection. If it could help one person, like 5 people, 10 people, that makes it completely worth it. And you never know the impact that could have on those people and the ripple effect. I mean, that's all in the book a bunch as I talk about the ripple effect of the invisible impact that continues to ripple beyond us. You can have an impact on one person. And I mean, I can think of people in my life from 20 years ago that they are still having I haven't talked to them for 20 years and they're still having like a ripple of impact in my life from how they made a difference in who I am and how I think about the world and how I think about myself. And I think we all can continuously do that for one another.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing your book and thank you for putting it out there into the world. 101 ways to spread joy. Thanks, Amy.
Thanks for having me.
Looking for a community of women writers to support and inspire you on your journey? Join the Author Power Circle. Connect weekly with fellow authors, stay accountable, and move your book forward in an encouraging community. Learn more at kellyschuknecht.com